Welcome to the Sisters on the Hill, the podcast from the Sisters of St. Benedict in Ferdinand. We are one of the largest communities of Benedictine women in the United States. And on this podcast, you'll get an inside look at life at the monastery, our work and ministries, programs, opportunities, and more.
Welcome to our podcast for the Sisters of St. Benedict in Ferdinand, Indiana. We'll be doing some of our vocation stories, why we've chosen to be religious sisters and especially Benedictines to our group. Today we have Sister Rebecca Ann with us. She goes by Sister Becky, and she's going to answer some questions with me. So Sister Becky, tell us maybe a little bit about yourself.
Well, I came from Indianapolis. I entered 25 years ago. I'm a teacher. My ministry is in Jasper, Indiana, about 20 minutes from here. I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade language arts and religion and do some campus ministry. I've been there 11 years and enjoying it.
So when did you first consider religious life?
First time I thought about it, I was a sophomore in high school going through preparation for the sacrament of confirmation. And we had a group of people speaking to us about different things. And I remember having this thought about possibly becoming a sister. And there was a Franciscan sister there, actually. And immediately I pushed it aside and said no, because I had always planned to get married and have a bunch of babies and live that kind of a life. But God had other plans. And so I did push it aside for a while. And then when I was in college, began discerning a little bit more seriously, and it came back again.
So did you only discern with us, or did you visit other places also?
I did visit other places. I visited the Benedictines at Beech Grove in Indianapolis. I also visited the Franciscans in Oldenburg, and I visited the Carmelites also in Indianapolis.
So how did you know God was calling you to be a monastic, and especially a Ferdinand Benedictine monastic?
For me, what drew me to monastic life was the balance of both the work and the prayer. The Carmelites are completely cloistered, and I knew that I was not called to that sort of a lifestyle. The Franciscans are apostolic. I went to a Franciscan college owned and run by the Oldenburg Franciscans, and many of them, even though there were 2 convents on campus, many of them lived in apartments, either by themselves or with one other person, around outside the campus. And so I knew that I wanted more of the balance of both work and prayer and more of a family style atmosphere. And so when I visited Beech Grove, I started to see that in their Benedictine life. And then when I came here to Ferdinand for the first time, I really felt like I was home, that I had found what I had been searching for. And I didn't even realize that I was looking for anything. It was very comfortable and very, like I said, very much at home and at peace, with both the balance of work and ministry, having both, with the prayer being first and foremost and the ministry coming from that prayer.
So we desire to seek God in the daily. How do you help your students know about that?
We have a lot of different programs that we use. We use the Hallow app quite often. Each of our students is set up with a Hallow account. I do daily reflections using the Hallow app. I've done the examination of conscience with them in different formats. We reflect with the daily gospel, do daily Lectio sometimes, different experiences like that. We also use a software program called Studio 316, which is based on a video about a specific topic and lesson. And then with that are some reflection questions and some questions for discussion. And they are able to then take that and relate it to their own personal lives. We also do grade level retreats. This year we did a retreat as an entire middle school as well. So that is another piece, along with Mass 1 day a week, and just different types of prayer experiences, whether it's going to church for adoration, benediction, or praying the rosary or praying the Divine Mercy Chaplet. I try to give them a variety of different prayer experiences to kind of bring that home to them.
I think I want to be in your classroom. You could be a teacher without being a Benedictine sister. So how does being a Ferdinand Benedictine make a difference in you being a teacher?
I think for me, being a Ferdinand Benedictine first gives me that foundation of prayer. That foundation of prayer then brings me to the confidence and the excitement that I bring to my classroom. For me, like I said, the biggest thing is the confidence piece and bringing prayer and bringing who I am as a Benedictine. Without being a Benedictine, I would not be who I am today. And because I am a Benedictine, I then became a teacher. I was not initially a teacher. I initially was in youth ministry and pastoral ministry. It wasn't until after I was in community that the sisters saw a gift for me to be in the classroom and encouraged me to go into the education profession. And so I went back to school twice now for the third time to get an education degree and became a licensed teacher then. So again, it's because I became a Benedictine first that I fell in love with teaching and education and built that piece into my life.
So the community really helped you see something in yourself that you didn't know you had.
Yes.
What is the best thing about being a sister?
The best thing about being a sister, it's hard to just pick one. One good thing about being a sister is when I am out and about and I see my students or former students, some of my first students now are getting married and having children of their own. When I see them out and about and I hear from across Walmart or from across the store, when I hear them yell, Sister Becky, and they get all excited to see me.
Because you're out, you're not at school.
I'm not at school and I'm not at the monastery. I'm actually out doing some of the same things that they're doing, or when they see me at a ball game or when they see me cheering them on. That's one of the best parts about being a sister. Another best part for me is having the community around me to support me. My dad passed away 7 years ago, and I, like I said, grew up in Indianapolis, about 3 hours from here. And so the community was there en masse for my dad and for me, both at the funeral home for the visitation and the day of the funeral, despite the monsoon rainstorm that day. And it just meant the world to not just to me, but to my family as well. And so that's another best piece of community life, is that we're here to support each other no matter what.
What's the biggest challenge of being a sister?
Biggest challenge is, like in any relationship, sometimes we rub each other the wrong way or we get on each other's nerves, just like you do in any family. I talk to my students about that and I say, you have sibling, right? There's times when they get on your last nerve. Yeah. And they shake their heads at me. Yes. And I say, so it's kind of the same thing, but we talk about it. We talk it out. We work it through and we come together and make hard decisions together, as well as celebrate the joyful times together. So sometimes those hard decisions can be challenging, but, you know, as I said before, we're in this together. And so we continue the conversation and work through it.
You mean we don't always get along?
Not always. Sometimes people think we do, but we don't.
What do you think is the one thing, or more than one thing, that is misunderstood about being a religious sister?
I still hear a lot of people, and a lot of times it's in joking, but a lot of people talk about the old days with the rulers and the rapping on the knuckles. And I had a principal when I first started teaching that he was teasing the kids before I came, but he was telling them that I was going to knock them upside the head with my giant rosary and, you know, trying to put the fear of God in them, so to speak. And there's still some misconception out there. A lot of, like I said, a lot of joking around that bothers me sometimes. I also think there's a misconception that all we do is pray all day long, especially as Benedictines have very much of a balance. I think there's also a misconception that we are not able to be a part of our family functions and things like that. And I do caregive for my mother, who is in a nursing home now. And we have a family wedding this weekend that I will be a part of. Just like everyone else, we have those things that we celebrate together and that we're able to be a part of, just like in any family.
So listeners, you can't see Sister Becky and I, but I have to tell you that we do not have gray hair. We both have dark hair. We're both under 55. And I think sometimes for me, people think that's a misunderstanding, that all religious sisters are over the age of 70. But we're here to tell you that not all sisters are over the age of 70.
Right.
A lot of them are, but not all of them.
Right. We still very much have young life and new life here.
Mm-hmm. You were telling us about how you'd like to do things with your family and different things like that. And that we are human beings just like anybody else. Mm-hmm. So what's something fun about you?
Something fun about me, I went camping, tent camping for close to 20 years with my best friend and a couple other friends of ours. We would go camping every summer and sleep in a little puppy tent on Lake Michigan. And we had some crazy times. We also went on a camping trip here in southern Indiana at Lincoln State Park in the rain and got stuck in the mud. It had to be pulled out by the park ranger with a chain. No. So, like I said, camping is an enjoyable pastime for me. One year at Lake Michigan, we were at South Haven, or Grand Haven, one of them, and I jumped off the pier because there were a bunch of kids doing it, and I know how to swim, so I didn't think anything about it, but the water was a bit choppy, and yeah, not a smart idea. So I've had all kinds of adventures.
Sounds like it. So if I was a woman who was discerning, what advice do you have for a woman who might be thinking about religious life?
I would say keep your heart and your mind open. Never say never. I would share that you never know what God has in mind. And so just because you come and see doesn't mean you have to make a commitment. It's just that coming and seeing what it's like and being a part of us for a day or two or a week. And allow yourself to be surprised by what God has in store. Don't be afraid, but be surprised and be excited.
I like that. Be surprised. I think I'm going to use that myself even, to be surprised. So listeners, I didn't tell her I was going to do this, but Sister Becky can handle it. I'm just going to rapidly ask you questions, and I want you to answer them for the first thing that comes to your mind. Hamburger or hot dog?
Hamburger.
Coffee or Mountain Dew?
Coffee.
A good movie or a good book?
A good book.
When you're reading a good book, is it a romance or a mystery?
A mystery.
Do you sleep on your backside or stomach?
Stomach.
Yeah, that was pretty good. So we thank you for listening, and we invite you to join us as you can learn more about the Sisters of St. Benedict.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sisters on the Hill. If you're interested in exploring what life as a sister looks like and whether you're being called to that life, reach out to us at vocation@thedome.org. This podcast was recorded at Monastery Immaculate Conception in Ferdinand, Indiana, and was made possible by funds from our philanthropic circle, the Women of the Rule. Follow us on social media at Ferdinand OSB or visit us at thedome.org to learn more. That's THEDOME.org. Thanks again for listening and have a blessed day.